Last night at 6:35, we received the biggest threat we've ever received from our closest friends and ally, from President-elect Trump, that they're threatening to put a 25% tariff on all goods coming across the border into the U.S. and Mexico.
Ford just made a move that's shaking the nation, and Trump isn't happy. In a controversial decision, the automaker is steering its electric vehicle production overseas, igniting outrage and debate. What's driving this bold shift? How will it impact American jobs, the economy, and even you? The answers might surprise you, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Stay tuned to uncover the truth behind Ford's game-changing announcement. What's happening? What happens when an American icon takes a bold stand? Ford's recent announcement has thrown the automotive world into chaos. The company revealed plans to shift a significant portion of its electric vehicle production overseas, a move that defies the America First policies championed by Donald Trump. For a company long seen as the heart of American manufacturing, this decision sent shockwaves through communities and industries alike. Ford's leadership framed this move as a necessary step to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving global market. Yet, the timing couldn't have been more controversial. With Trump's plans for a political resurgence taking shape, this announcement feels like a direct challenge to his economic vision. The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for Ford or Trump, but for the future of American industry itself. This decision isn't just about cars, it's about jobs, sustainability, and the changing face of what it means to be an American company. But what led Ford to take such a drastic step? Let's uncover the pressures driving this decision. To understand this bold move, we need to dive into the economic and political storm that's been brewing behind the scenes. The context behind the decision. What would you do if the rules of the game made it impossible to win? For Ford, this was the reality they faced under Trump's tariffs and economic policies. These measures, designed to protect American jobs, instead increased production costs and strained supply chains. Lithium, cobalt, and other essential materials for EV production became pricier and harder to source domestically. Ford was left with a choice: adapt or risk falling behind in the global EV race. Balancing legacy and innovation is no easy feat. On one hand, Ford remains a symbol of American manufacturing pride. On the other, it's a company navigating a fiercely competitive market dominated by Tesla and rising overseas automakers. The global EV boom demands cutting-edge solutions, and Ford's leadership decided that expanding production abroad was the only way to secure the company's future. Ford's struggle reflects the broader challenges facing American industries in a globalized economy. Their decision could set a precedent for other companies grappling with similar pressures. But this wasn't just a business choice. It was a spark that ignited a political firestorm. Let's explore how Trump responded to what he views as a betrayal of American values. Immediate fallout and Trump's outrage. Imagine the fury of a leader who feels betrayed. Trump's response to Ford's announcement was nothing short of explosive. At a rally just days after the news broke, he accused the company of turning its back on the American worker. Ford has abandoned the very people who built it, he thundered to a roaring crowd. His words weren't just about policy, they were personal, resonating with millions of Americans who've long seen Ford as a pillar of national pride. Social media lit up with debates, protests erupted outside Ford factories, and hashtags calling for boycotts went viral. Some saw Ford's move as a necessary step toward progress, while others viewed it as a sellout to global interests. The company tried to defend its position, highlighting its ongoing investments in US EV plants, but the message was drowned out by the wave of public outrage. This isn't just a corporate squabble, it's a battle for the soul of American manufacturing. The fallout could shape policies, jobs, and even the vehicles you drive. And yet, this clash is only beginning. Trump's fiery rhetoric has turned this into a defining moment for his vision of America. As the dust begins to settle, the stage is set for a showdown between one of America's most iconic companies and its most polarizing political figure. Setting the stage for conflict, how do you fight when your opponent controls the narrative? For Ford, this is the challenge they face as Trump amplifies his attacks. The company is walking a tightrope, defending its decision while trying to maintain its reputation as a leader in American innovation. In a carefully worded statement, Ford emphasized its commitment to US jobs and EV infrastructure, but the public's trust is fragile. Meanwhile, Trump has turned this issue into a rallying cry for his base. At every opportunity, he frames Ford's decision as a betrayal, calling on Americans to stand up for our country. His words have struck a chord, creating a national conversation about what it means to prioritize American interests in a global economy. As this conflict unfolds, one thing is clear. The stakes are far greater than a single company or politician. This is about the future of American industry and the values that define it. Why it matters to you. This showdown isn't just Ford versus Trump. It's a reflection of the tensions shaping modern America. The outcome will have ripple effects for workers, industries, and consumers nationwide. The battle lines have been drawn and the nation is watching. But what lies at the heart of this conflict? Now let's dig into the deeper causes of this clash and the economic realities forcing Ford's hand. Trump's policies versus Ford's reality. What happens when good intentions create impossible choices? Trump's America First agenda, built on tariffs and protectionist policies, aimed to prioritize domestic manufacturing and American jobs. On paper, it sounded like a win for the workforce. But for companies like Ford, the reality was far more complicated. The global supply chain for electric vehicles, EVs, is inherently international. Essential materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, key components of EV batteries, are primarily sourced and processed overseas. Trump's tariffs on imported materials didn't just increase costs, they created logistical nightmares for American manufacturers. For Ford, this meant higher prices, longer production timelines, and mounting pressure to compete with rivals like Tesla. Ford's leadership made a difficult decision. Shifting production abroad wasn't just about saving money, it was about survival in a fiercely competitive market. They argued that by leveraging global resources, they could innovate faster and maintain their position as an industry leader. Yet, this pragmatism clashed directly with Trump's vision, setting the stage for an unavoidable conflict. This isn't just about politics, it's about the vehicles you'll drive in the future. Ford's decision could shape how companies balance innovation, sustainability, and affordability in an interconnected world. But for Trump, this wasn't just a policy failure, it was a personal betrayal. Let's look at how Trump turned Ford's move into a rallying cry for his supporters. Trump's rallying cry. How do you turn a corporate decision into a political movement? For Trump, Ford's announcement was the perfect opportunity to reignite his base. At rallies across the country, he framed Ford's actions as emblematic of a broader problem: the erosion of American values in favor of global profits. "We built Ford. The American worker built Ford," he thundered at one event, his voice echoing through a packed auditorium. "And now they're turning their backs on us." His words struck a nerve, resonating with millions who felt left behind by a rapidly changing economy. Trump's message wasn't just about Ford, it was about fighting back against a system that seemed to prioritize international interests over American families. Supporters rallied behind his call to action. Social media buzzed with hashtags urging boycotts of Ford vehicles, while protests outside dealerships captured national attention. Trump had turned the controversy into a defining moment for his campaign, positioning himself as the champion of the American worker. This isn't just a political battle, it's a cultural one. Trump's rhetoric taps into a deeper frustration with the challenges of globalization and the fear of losing what it means to be made in America. And yet, as Trump's rhetoric escalated, Ford held firm, crafting their own narrative to counter the growing backlash. Let's explore how Ford responded to this intense public and political pressure. Ford's counter-narrative. How do you defend progress when it's framed as betrayal? For Ford, the answer lay in highlighting their long-term vision. In carefully crafted statements, the company emphasized its commitment to innovation, sustainability, and creating opportunities for American workers. They pointed to billion-dollar investments in US-based EV plants, such as their cutting-edge facilities in Michigan and Kentucky, as proof that their roots remained firmly planted in American soil. Ford's leadership argued that their global expansion was necessary to stay competitive in an industry undergoing seismic change. "We are committed to being a leader in the EV market," said CEO James Farley in a televised interview. "To do that, we must operate on a global scale." Despite their efforts, the message struggled to break through. Trump's narrative of corporate betrayal dominated headlines, and the public remained divided. For many, Ford's actions raised uncomfortable questions. Could a company expand globally while staying true to its American identity? Or was this the inevitable cost of progress? Ford's counter-narrative isn't just damage control, it's a blueprint for how industries might navigate the tension between tradition and innovation in a globalized economy. But the story doesn't end here. As the debate raged on, the media and public took sides, turning this into a national spectacle. Let's dive into how the public and media polarized the issue, amplifying the stakes even further. Public and media frenzy. How do you decide who's right when the debate is louder than the facts? The Ford-Trump conflict quickly became a media frenzy. uncertainty, with both sides weaponizing the issue to push their agendas. Conservative outlets painted Ford as the epitome of corporate greed, abandoning the American worker for cheaper overseas production. Progressive outlets, meanwhile, praised the company's focus on sustainability and global competitiveness, framing Trump's rhetoric as outdated and short-sighted. Social media became the battlefield where these narratives clashed. Hashtags like "No Boycott Ford" trended, while others rallied under banners like "On Ford for the Future." Families, friends, and co-workers found themselves debating the issue in living rooms and lunchrooms across the country. For many Americans, this wasn't just about Ford. It was about the larger struggle between preserving the past and embracing the future. Some saw Ford's decision as a necessary adaptation to a changing world. Others viewed it as a betrayal of the values that built the company and the country. The public debate reveals just how deeply this conflict resonates with everyday Americans. It's not just about cars or politics. It's about identity, values, and the future of work in a globalized world. As the nation takes sides, Ford and Trump are left to navigate a conflict that could redefine both their legacies. War of words. The battle between Ford and Donald Trump had now evolved into a full-fledged war of words. Trump's fiery speeches painted Ford as the epitome of corporate betrayal, accusing the automaker of abandoning its roots and its workers. At rallies, he declared, "Ford has turned its back on America. The hardworking people who built this company deserve better." His rhetoric struck a chord with his supporters, who viewed Ford's actions as a slap in the face to the American worker. Ford, however, did not back down. In a public statement, Ford's CEO James Farley reaffirmed the company's commitment to innovation, sustainability, and maintaining a strong American presence. "We are investing billions in US-based EV infrastructure, creating thousands of jobs, and leading the global shift towards sustainable energy," he said. But the statement did little to quell the outrage. Trump's accusations dominated headlines, leaving Ford scrambling to regain control of the narrative. The public clash between a corporate giant and a political heavyweight became a media sensation. Conservative outlets amplified Trump's criticisms, framing Ford's decision as emblematic of broader issues with globalization and corporate greed. On the other hand, progressive voices defended Ford's move, highlighting the importance of global competitiveness and sustainability in the EV market. This isn't just a corporate spat, it's a reflection of the tension shaping modern America. The fallout could influence how companies navigate political pressures and economic realities in the years to come. As the rhetoric intensified, the real impact of the conflict began to ripple through American communities. Let's explore how Ford's actions and Trump's response affected local economies and everyday workers. Local communities in crisis. The clash between Ford and Trump wasn't just a headline, it was personal for the workers, small businesses, and families tied to Ford's American plants. For decades, communities across the Midwest relied on Ford factories as economic anchors. Now, these same towns faced an uncertain future. Rumors of layoffs spread like wildfire, leaving workers anxious about their livelihoods. While Ford insisted it was committed to maintaining its US operations, the announcement to shift EV production abroad raised fears of a slow decline in domestic manufacturing. We've heard promises before. One assembly line worker in Michigan remarked, "But what happens when the numbers don't add up?" Small businesses that depended on Ford's workforce also felt the strain. Restaurants, repair shops, and other local enterprises reported declining foot traffic as uncertainty loomed. In some towns, the mere prospect of reduced operations at a Ford plant created a chilling effect, dampening economic activity and community morale. At the same time, the controversy highlighted a deeper divide in these communities. While some residents sided with Trump, rallying against Ford's decision, others viewed the shift as a necessary evolution to keep the company competitive. "It's not betrayal, it's business," said a young entrepreneur who had recently invested in EV-related technology. These struggles are not just about Ford, they're about the future of American towns and workers. The outcome of this conflict could set a precedent for how industries balance local loyalty with global ambitions. Meanwhile, the broader automotive industry watched closely, knowing that the stakes extended far beyond Ford. Let's examine how Ford's competitors reacted to this high-stakes conflict. Rivals and industry reaction. While Ford and Trump clashed publicly, other automakers quietly strategized behind the scenes. Rivals like General Motors, Stellantis, and Toyota issued carefully worded statements emphasizing their commitment to American manufacturing, but they avoided directly addressing the Ford-Trump feud. None wanted to risk drawing Trump's ire or alienating customers. Tesla, however, saw an opportunity. CEO Elon Musk took to Twitter to promote Tesla's American-made electric vehicles, writing, "This is why we build here." The company capitalized on the controversy, positioning itself as a patriotic alternative to Ford. Tesla's aggressive marketing efforts paid off, with a noticeable spike in interest from consumers who saw the company as aligned with Trump's vision of keeping manufacturing jobs in the US. For other automakers, the conflict raised uncomfortable questions. How should they navigate the growing tension between globalization and nationalism? Was it possible to pursue international competitiveness without facing similar backlash? Industry leaders recognized that Ford's decision to shift EV production overseas was not an isolated case. It was a sign of the challenges that all automakers would face in the transition to a more sustainable future. The Ford-Trump feud isn't just a one-off, it's a glimpse into the future of the automotive industry. The decisions made now could shape the cars you drive and the jobs that build them. As the industry grappled with these questions, Trump's team worked behind closed doors, plotting their next move. Let's uncover the political strategies that could escalate this conflict even further. Political maneuvering. Behind the fiery speeches and public posturing, Trump's advisors were crafting a strategy to turn the Ford controversy into a broader political weapon. One proposal involved introducing stricter tariffs targeting automakers that move production overseas. Another idea was to leverage regulatory agencies to scrutinize Ford's operations, creating new hurdles for the company as it expanded internationally. Trump himself framed the issue as part of a larger fight against globalization. "This isn't just about Ford," he declared at a rally. "This is about standing up to every company that puts profits over patriotism." The message resonated with his base, energizing supporters who saw the conflict as a battle for the soul of American industry. For Ford, the political maneuvering added another layer of complexity. The company was already under intense pressure to navigate the public backlash and maintain investor confidence. Now it faces the prospect of additional challenges from Washington. Despite this, Ford's leadership remained focused on their long-term goals. "We're not just building cars," Farley said in a statement. "We're building the future of transportation, and that requires thinking globally." These political strategies could reshape how companies operate, affecting everything from the cost of vehicles to the availability of jobs in your community. As the political and economic stakes grew higher, the conflict was no longer just about Ford or Trump. It was about the future of American manufacturing. Ford's strategic pivot. Ford knew that the stakes in this conflict weren't just about their immediate reputation, but the future of the company. As Trump's rhetoric grew louder and public opinion remained divided, Ford unveiled a bold plan to pivot its strategy. At the center of this shift was a groundbreaking announcement: the creation of a state-of-the-art research and development facility in Detroit, dedicated entirely to advancing electric vehicle (EV) technology. This move wasn't just about damage control, it was a calculated effort to show that Ford's commitment to America was unwavering. The facility would focus on developing next-generation EV batteries, exploring cutting-edge technologies that could make electric vehicles more efficient and affordable. The initiative promised thousands of jobs, offering a glimmer of hope to communities that had begun to question Ford's loyalty to the American worker. Ford also doubled down on its plans to increase domestic EV production. Despite the backlash over its international expansion, the company committed to building more EVs in US plants, including a focus on affordable models aimed at middle-class buyers. "This is about creating a sustainable future for all," said CEO James Farley during a press event. "We're investing in America's future while ensuring we remain competitive on the global stage." Ford's pivot could mean more affordable EVs made in the US, shaping how Americans transition to greener transportation options. But as Ford worked to repair its image, the cultural divide over their decision only grew deeper. Let's explore how this conflict became a microcosm of America's broader struggles with identity and progress. A nation divided. The Ford-Trump conflict had exposed a deeper cultural divide in America. For decades, companies like Ford were symbols of national pride, representing the strength and ingenuity of American manufacturing. But in an age of globalization, those traditional identities were being challenged. Was it still possible for a company to prioritize its American roots while competing in a global market? For many Americans, the answer wasn't clear. On one side, Ford's decision to shift EV production overseas was seen as a betrayal. Protesters outside Ford dealerships held signs reading "Made in America" or "Not at all," calling for boycotts of the company's vehicles. Social media buzzed with debates, with hashtags like "boycott" trending for weeks. On the other side, environmentalists and younger consumers defended Ford's vision for global sustainability. "This is about saving the planet, not clinging to outdated ideals," wrote one activist on Twitter. For them, Ford's commitment to EVs represented progress, a necessary step to address the growing threat of climate change. The clash between these perspectives wasn't just about Ford, it was about the nation's broader identity. Could the US embrace change without losing what made it unique? Or would the push for progress come at the cost of tradition? The Ford-Trump saga isn't just about cars, it's about the values that define America in the 21st century. And as the debate raged on, the automotive industry watched closely, knowing this battle would shape its future. Let's delve into the lessons other automakers are learning from this high-stakes showdown. Lessons for the automotive industry. The conflict between Ford and Trump sent ripples through the automotive industry, forcing other automakers to confront uncomfortable questions. General Motors, GM, Stellantis, Toyota, and Tesla all watched the drama unfold, knowing it could set a precedent for how companies navigated the intersection of business and politics. GM and Toyota took a cautious approach, reaffirming their commitment to American manufacturing without directly commenting on the Ford-Trump feud. They hoped to avoid similar scrutiny while quietly continuing their global operations. Stellantis, meanwhile, began investing more heavily in US production, eager to position itself as a counterpoint to Ford. Tesla, however, seized the moment. Elon Musk's company leaned into its branding as an all-American automaker, capitalizing on Ford's missteps to boost its market share. "This is why Tesla builds here," Musk tweeted, sparking a surge of interest in the company's vehicles. The lessons for the industry were clear. Companies needed to balance global ambitions with domestic loyalty, ensuring they didn't alienate their home markets. At the same time, the shift to EVs demanded innovation and international collaboration, goals that were increasingly at odds with protectionist policies. The decisions made by automakers now will affect everything from vehicle prices to job opportunities in your community. And yet, the long-term implications of this conflict extend far beyond the automotive industry. Let's explore the broader legacy of the Ford-Trump saga and what it means for the future of American manufacturing. The long-term legacy. As the dust began to settle, it became clear that the Ford-Trump saga wasn't just a corporate dispute, it was a turning point in the story of American industry. Ford had positioned itself as a leader in the global shift towards sustainability, but the journey had come at a significant cost. The company's reputation as an American icon had been shaken, and its customer base was deeply divided. For Trump, the conflict became a rallying cry for his vision of economic nationalism. His message resonated with millions of Americans who felt left behind by globalization and technological change. Yet critics argued that his approach risked alienating the very industries he claimed to protect. The broader implications of the conflict were undeniable. It marked a moment of reckoning for American manufacturing, raising critical questions about what it means to be made in America in a globalized world. Could progress and patriotism coexist, or would the push for innovation always come at the expense of tradition? For the automotive industry, the saga underscored the challenges of transitioning to electric vehicles. The shift wasn't just a technological one, it was cultural, economic, and political. Automakers faced mounting pressure to balance sustainability with affordability, global competitiveness with domestic loyalty. As the nation grappled with these questions, one thing was clear: the decisions made in the wake of this conflict would shape the future of American industry for decades to come. Whether Ford's bold move would ultimately be seen as visionary or misguided remained to be seen, but its impact was undeniable. This isn't just about Ford or Trump, it's about the future of work, sustainability, and the values that will define America in the 21st century. The legacy of this conflict will continue to unfold, shaping industries and communities in ways we can only begin to imagine. So what's next for Ford, Trump, and the nation? The answers will define an era. What's your take on the Ford versus Trump clash? Bold innovation or betrayal of tradition? Drop a comment below and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.